still heading north on the M5. I'm about halfway between Bristol and Birmingham right now. I'm thinking about swapping bodies, actually. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about, well, it started off being about, you know, what it's like to take the perspective of the other person, try to experience the world as the other person would, and then we went into this conversation about, you know, what would it be like to literally do that, to literally find yourself in another person's head, looking out of their eyes, feeling things with their fingers, you know. And I think in that we kind of, I guess, came to a conclusion, as much as you can within a conversation without any actual information in it. We kind of came to this conclusion that what would probably happen is that, you know, initially you'd feel quite dissociated, maybe like a passenger in someone else's body, like a passenger in a different vehicle, that kind of thing. But the more of their experiences you took on, the more that you tasted what they tasted and built on their histories, the more you would effectively become that person. You know, the more seamlessly you welded with their experiences, the more likely you would become. But one of the things I was thinking, particularly in I don't know if that's true or not, of course, no way not. But one of the things I was thinking about with that is that, and I guess I was just thinking, you know, what would I do if I had the opportunity to find myself in a woman's body? So we were talking about that, changing gender, or perhaps changing a nationality or something like that, or finding yourself in a disabled body, like Quantum Leap, you know, the old TV show Quantum Leap. Anyway, I was thinking about what would it be like to find yourself in a woman's body as a man. And of course, the first thing that came to my mind is, well, the first thing I'd want to do is try to have sex, to see what that's like as a woman, or at least to pleasure myself, you know what I mean? Because I'd like to see what it's like flicking the bean, or operating a dildo. I'd like to see what that's like. And that's obviously an experience which is outside of my orbit right now. But then I thought, well, the conversation continued, and maybe that thought that, oh, well, if I was in that body, the first thing I'd do is that. Maybe that thought is itself symptomatic of me as a man. Maybe that's not the first. I'm guessing. I think it's probably correct too. That's probably not amongst the first things that a woman would imagine she would do if she was put in a man's body. Because I don't know how widespread that is. I think a lot of men would feel the way I feel. If you find yourself in a woman's body, the first thing you want to do is try it out sexually. But I suspect that a lot of women wouldn't do that. But having said that, I think they'd be surprised, because I think I don't know how much I'm giving away here, but I think if a woman found herself in a man's body, or let's personalise it, I think if you found yourself in my body, yeah, first off, of course, you might, the first thing that springs to mind is, oh, I'm in a man's body, I think I'll go and wank it, you know. That might not be the first thing to think of. I think pretty soon you'd come around to that way of thinking, because I think you'd be surprised, if you're a woman watching this video, I think you'd be surprised how fucking easy sexuality is if you're a man. I'm probably generalising. I mean, of course, there's all kind of emotional complications, but the actual physics, the biology, the biochemistry of male sexuality, and just the mechanics of it, you know, how you do it, how you get your rocks off, is so easy, you know, compared to what I think it seems to be for at least some women that I've spoken to about this. So yes, women, if you watch this video and you found yourself in a man's body, whilst you might think, oh yes, I wonder what it's like to watch Love Actually as a man, or I wonder what it's like to read 50 Shades of Grey as a man, you might think that. But once you'd found and walked around in my shoes for a while, you'd be in the bathroom with a box of tissues very quickly, I think, and you'd have a great time. You'd think, oh, this is fantastic. This is what it's always like being a man. This is brilliant. That's what I think anyway. What do you think?